Hello, Flat Rock students. Today I want to talk with you about the fiction section of our library. Now, we've talked for several weeks about the Dewey Decimal System and the nonfiction books and how they are organized in our library. I know you remember that the 500s is where you'll find science books, animals, dinosaurs, the planets. 600s, you'd find pet books. 800s, you'll find joke books. 300s are fairy tales, and so much more. But today I want to tell you about the fiction section and just talk with you a little bit about how we've arranged those titles in our library. Now, if you'll remember, the fiction books are the ones that have made up characters and events. There are books that are almost real. They're based on true stories, but they might have elements that are not factual or not based on something that really happened. And so that's what makes them fiction. Some fiction stories are wild and just full of imagination, while others seem like they could be real. So there's a broad range of books in our fiction section, and I hope you'll find something that you love in this section as we talk about it today. So just as a reminder now, just like our nonfiction books, our fiction books also have a call number on the spine. This tells us where the books live in our library. You notice our arrow is pointed to the spine of the book Sweet Home Alaska, and it's pointing to FDAG. What that means is that the F stands for fiction. That tells you it's a fiction book. And then the DAG are the first three letters of the author's last name. So as you go through the fiction section and you have a call number, all you need to do is look at the spine to find it. So let's just go through this area of our library by the smartboard, by our carpet that we start out on when we come into the library. Those are where the majority of our fiction books are. So this is the area that you want to head to if you want a fiction book. They start underneath that little bicycle in the corner with the A's. And notice I have even put letters up there for you to help you see where they are. So if you have a book with the call number, let's say APP, well, you're going to look for that letter A, and then you're going to start looking at the call numbers on the spine to find your books, okay? So it just goes A to Z. So A, B, then we have the C books, and I've put that letter around where the books begin. So the C's begin here, and they go this whole row, second whole row, and third whole row. We have a lot of books that have a C on the call number. Then we have D's, E's, F's, G's. And let me stop there for a minute and just tell you that whenever you see a book featured on the top, those are books that you can definitely check out. I periodically just set different books out, and I especially set out books that are brand new. So a lot of times the books around the top of the library are books that have just come in, and you can always take those and check those out too. After that, we have H, I, J, K, L, and that whole row running where the windows are runs through the L's. Okay, then we turn to the other side of the wall, and you notice up here, this blue part right here, that's our reed quilt that's on the wall. The L's finish up, and then we start with the M's, and we have 3 rows of M's, and then it goes to N, O, P's, and Q's. We have R's, S, 3 rows of S's, we have T's. After that, to get to the U's through Z's, we actually walk around to the other side of our library over by the doors. And this is also by where we keep our battle books. This is where the end of our fiction section goes. So we have U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Okay, this is our fiction section. Now, there's a couple things I need to point out to you because there are a few more books in here, okay? So our battle books, most of these are fiction books, but the current battle books of the year I keep right here. Remember, these are not just the 10 battle books, but it's the 20 South Carolina Award nominee titles. All 20 of them I keep there, all the copies of them, and battle books are included within that. I also keep the picture books that are our award nominees for the year in this area too. Next to them, we have what's called the story collection. These are usually fiction books, but they have stories inside, so story collection books. So this is just another area of the fiction section that gives you some details and is a section that you can absolutely check out books from. The final section where I have some fiction books in our library is underneath the TV screen. Now, you know that I have pulled the most popular series books and put them there. So up here at the top, we have American Girl, we have Geronimo Stilton and Thea Stilton, Magic Treehouse, Goosebumps, Junie B. Jones, and many more. So those are also fiction titles, and this is where you'll find them. So in those three areas is where you will find the fiction books in our library. Now, I've done something else in our library to help you find fiction books that you love, and it's called Genrefine. So if you notice on the spines of these books, there's not just the call number that tells you where the book lives, but there is a sticker, and it tells you what type of book it is. So this one says historical fiction, fantasy, adventure. Here's another historical fiction, scary. I've left these books in the sections with their correct call number. So all of our books with an author that's last name starts with D are together, but the stickers are on the spine. So if you know, for example, that you love scary books and that's what you're looking for, well, another way that you could look for books is just to go look through our fiction section and look for this little sticker on the spine. And that could be a way to help you find books. So here are the stickers that we have in our library. You notice that we have adventure, animal story, fantasy, graphic novels, historical fiction, humor, mysteries, realistic fiction, scary stories, science fiction, and sports. Now, it's true that many books could fall under a couple of those categories. Many times you have an adventure that's also a fantasy, or you have a sports story that's also a realistic fiction. It could really have happened, but it's about a sports hero. You have a book that's humorous, it's funny, but it's also a graphic novel. So these stickers on the spines aren't always exact. What I mean by that is if you love a humor book, but the sticker has a graphic novel, the spine has a graphic novel sticker, it's probably also a humor book or could be within it. So don't limit yourself just to that sticker, but let that sticker help you find books that you want to read so that you can branch out and read more. So let's look at some spines just to get a feel for what these look like on the spines, and then we will wrap up. All right, so here's an example. I have gone under the TV screen and I've taken a picture of two sections, the American Girl, which are all historical fiction, and the Thea Stilton, which are adventure stories. Goosebumps are scary, so notice all of those have a scary sticker on it. Now I've come directly over to the fiction section, and here's an assortment. So this book right here is an adventure, while the one next to it is a fantasy, and next to that's realistic fiction. Then you have 4 books in a series that are all humor. You have a couple mystery books, another realistic fiction, fantasy, historical fiction, on down the road. Notice this one is science fiction. So this helps you get a feel for what you're looking for on the spine. Personally, I love historical fiction books. So I'm always on the lookout for a spine that says historical fiction. Doesn't mean I'm going to love every one of them, but I definitely give those books an extra look and decide if I want to check them out. Here's a few more spines. We have an animal story here, and you just go down the rows and just see if there's something that you want. Now remember, graphic novels are under 741.5. So most books with that sticker are there. Not always. We have other books spread out all over our library that are also graphic novels. Some are in the 300s, some in the 900s, a couple in the fiction. But most graphic novels are fiction stories. We just put them under 741.5. That's just something you can remember, and also look at the sticker on the spine to see that graphic novel sticker and see that it's designated as that. So here's a few more, some science fiction books in the science fiction series. But I love this picture, and I wanted to end with it because I think reading is magical. I think books are magical, especially when you have found the right story for you. So I am here to help you. Let your librarian help you find books you want. And if you find a genre you love, well, I hope that Genrefying the fiction section has helped you or will help you find the books you want to read in our library.